Hey everyone, Jared Gaspi, your local real estate superhero here, and I wanted to do a video that's really different from a lot of the stuff that I usually do. Anyone who's watched any of my videos, whether it be through Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, knows that I am a real estate agent, and a lot of stuff that I do tends to just be a little all over the place, but it does tend to have a lot to do with real estate, and this just doesn't. So, prefacing it with that. But I did want to make a video about a channel on YouTube that I watch pretty closely, and I actually have been trying to follow as much about the issue that's been going on for a while now as closely as I can, just because this channel, for one reason or another, does kind of mean a lot to me. And that channel is named DanPlan, which, for those of you guys who don't know, is a growing and quickly growing channel for animations and RPG gameplay, I guess is the best way of phrasing it. Basically, it's three people, or usually at the core it's got three people, and they all play basically different kinds of games or role-playing scenarios, and it's all filtered through animations that they then upload on YouTube. And honestly, it's pretty fantastic. It's something that I've been watching for a long time now. I actually started watching them whenever I was doing Uber. Back whenever I was still going to school for real estate, I needed some form of an income that was flexible enough with my schedule, and so I was actually doing Uber and Lyft for a long time. And this was a really cool channel to just sort of have for those odd moments where it was just really slow, or I had a long drive and no one was in the car with me. And so, needless to say, I care a lot about this channel, and so something's happened with it where I feel like it needed some form of addressing, and I've been internalizing a lot of it, and so I figured I'd upload random shit on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram anyways. I might as well upload my random shit about this too, and kind of externalize a lot of the stuff that's been going on from my perspective. And ultimately that's all that this really is, which is part of the video, and that's really the main preface of the video. For those of you guys who don't know, I did say that three people tend to man the ship for DanPlan's YouTube channel, and that was the case up until very recently. About a week ago, one of the three main core members of the team actually said that since mid-December he had quit. And so, of course, the videos that came after the fact all were pre-recorded because they are animation and they take a long time. And so he announced that this had been something that had been going on for several months now. And ultimately, that hits kind of hard, and it sucks, because now that you know that, watching some of those videos, you feel a lot of the tension that existed beforehand. For those of you guys who don't know, the three main characters, or rather the three main partners in this channel, were Dan, who is essentially the CEO and runs the company, his animator or head of animation, which is Hosa, and then Steven, who self-proclaimed does not do as much, but I would say is a cornerstone of the entire channel and what that channel has sort of become. And so those three, up until recently, have sort of spearheaded this channel's growth. And they do have other people that come on, some of them more regularly than others, but these three really have cemented DanPlan's success. And I think that Steven, being the one that just announced that he was leaving, having left, is going to be a hard hit. And not just because he's leaving, but because of why he's leaving. And so in the video where he announces that he's leaving, he goes over a lot of what seems to be really harsh practices that Dan has been implementing, and the type of mentality that Dan has had towards the actions that he's been taking. And that's sort of rough to hear. Not gonna lie, I ultimately have been in several situations where I'm in a role of leadership, and so being in those situations and hearing about the practices that Dan has supposedly been doing, they're rough. When you hear about a company that makes so much money and then ultimately abuses the fact that they have that much money and doesn't give any of it back to the people that help make it, it can be pretty rough, and it leaves a bit of a sour taste in your mouth. And so for, again, those people who don't know, apparently, looking at the figures, DanPlan makes $50,000 or $40,000 a month, and of that money, about 85% of that goes to Dan, although he does admittedly split it up between the people that do work as far as the animators involved and those who come on as guest stars, etc., etc. 15% of that goes to Hosa, who is, like I said, kind of like the head of animation. And you'd probably be wondering where Steven falls in all of this, and Steven falls into, I guess, what Dan would define as guest stars. And so Steven said that, he makes $25 an hour, and in total for the $50,000, $40,000 a month that they make, he makes a grand total of maybe $200 to $300. And that's sort of just a rough thing to hear, considering just how much of a role Steven's had in DanPlan's growth. And you know that he has, just because since his announcement of leaving, DanPlan has dropped drastically, and actually has lost its 2 million subscriber mark that it posted videos celebrating, which is sort of I don't think it's intentional, but it's a good kind of coincidence to put emphasis on the fact that Steven did have a much larger role than just a guest star. Now, all of this is being said knowing that Dan hasn't released a side of the story, and so we don't know if all of this is just biased in one direction. In fact, Steven has even said that this is a very emotional kind of situation, and so there is no black and white here, that people should care about what Dan has to say and his side of the story. The problem, and part of the reason why I wanted to make this video, is the fact that Dan hasn't said anything. When I'm recording this, and I'll probably upload it the day after, but as of recording this video, it is the day that DanPlan usually uploads their videos, every week, and I think they take a week off, but I don't think it's supposed to be now, and I know that they should have been doing it already. And even if this was the week where they decided to take it off, on a normal situation, sure, but not when something like this is happening. And so that's sort of where a lot of the fans, myself included, are getting really frustrated, because we hear Steven's side of the story, and it's very, very rough, and it's a hard story to hear. But to not hear the other side, part of you wants to just go on the offense and say, you know what, if you're not going to give us your side of the story, then that means this one has to be right, and so why did you do A, B, C, and D? But on the flip side, you also really don't know that for certain, and so you try to refrain from being overly aggressive to this party that you don't know the perspective of. But at the same time, you don't know the perspective of. And that's what's so frustrating, is we're all sitting here, the people that care about this channel and have watched it for such a long time, and we're sort of just left in the dark as far as how true Steven's story is. And it's more important because Steven himself even acknowledges the fact that it's not a black and white situation. And hearing that from the person who is the abused, you really, really need to hear the story of the supposed abuser. And the fact that we haven't, it again just leaves a really sour taste in your mouth, because you just are stuck wondering. And so I guess the real reason why I wanted to upload this video is because, one, like I said, I've been internalizing a lot of this stuff. I've been very frequently watching as DanPlan's subscriber count has dwindled from, I think it was like 2 million, like 2.03 million, to I think right now it's at 1.95, and it's probably going down more progressively as this video recording goes on, and it'll probably go down a little bit more by the time that I upload it. But point in me of checking that all the time is not just to see that, but it's also to see when there's going to be any kind of a post in regards to what's happening. Whether it be just, hey, my video's coming soon, please bear with me. You know, it's clearly an emotional situation, so I'd understand if there was some reason why maybe they didn't have just the ability to upload it right away. And maybe he needed to collect his thoughts. Maybe it's just not that easy. But the fact that he hasn't said anything makes it seem more like a political play. And that's what I think hurts so much, is that this channel grew because it didn't feel like it was a business. It didn't feel like it was politics. It felt like a group of friends who were all hanging out and decided to make an entire YouTube channel out of that. And boy, was that fantastic while it lasted. And part of me wishes that it still did, but considering that Steven's entire video was dedicated to the fact that Daniel treats this like a business and not like a friendship, when you see that kind of statement made, and then the response is, let's try to just stay quiet so that way this all blows over, and we'll try to play this off as if it's just a issue that we can overcome as long as we play it patient and play it smart. And that just screams politics to me. And like I said, I've been in positions of leadership, and I've been in positions of subordination where you watch the way the leadership acts. And it's not stupid from a political standpoint or a business standpoint for what Daniel's willing to do. Rather than stir up more controversy by making a claim, you just sort of wait. And eventually people move on, and it stops being such a limelight kind of a situation, and then you sort of slowly phase back into the spotlight. And by that point, people start to realize, but by then it's also too late. The problem is that works really well for businesses, but it doesn't always work for family. And when your entire business is dedicated to feeling like friends and family on screen through animation, trying to mix those two together just don't work. And so it's irritating to see it, because I can't say for certain that that's what he's trying to accomplish, but the fact that he's not doing anything is one of the reasons why it's so frustrating. And so I guess ultimately the reason why I made this video is, again, one, to just sort of get the emotions out, but it's also to hopefully be one of what I'm sure is several videos at this point that are wondering what Daniel is doing. And so that's the purpose of this too, is I really want there to just be an influx of videos that ask Daniel, what is your side of the story? Because we've heard Steven's, we've heard his perspective, and we understand where he's coming from. But he even acknowledges the fact that you have your own side, that you have your own opinion of what happened, because not everything's black and white. And so we're all sitting here wondering from you, what happened? And if you are in the wrong, do you plan on changing that? And where you feel like you're definitely in the right, let us know, because things aren't black and white, and you deserve to have a voice. And I don't want to prematurely judge you for something that I don't fully understand. So help us all understand, because we all care too, because we only subscribed because we cared. And I'd rather not keep seeing more subscribers leave. So that's it. Again, weird video for me to upload, because again, I'm a real estate agent in California, so that's weird. But this is important to me, and I do care a lot about it, and I'm going on 13 plus minutes now, so I'm going to go ahead and stop now. But for everyone who does upload videos and you care about the topic, I would say make a video as well, just saying, hey, we want to have your perspective too, your opinion matters. And Daniel, if you're watching this, please give us your point of view, because you deserve to have one. Thanks everyone. Bye.